my lowest point. Every time when I thought I can't go lower than this, then something new was introduced to paint the picture. I had periods of total immobility, extremely feelings of overwhelm, brain fog like I was drugged. If I stand up, my heart really speeded up the RPM, so you could say POTS. I had chest pains to the point that I feel difficulty breathing to get air inside. And nowadays, I work with my screens again. I drive my car for every day, and I always love to drive. Start up, I'm waking up and I feel refreshed, and this is really new for me.
How's it going, everybody? Miguel here from CFS Recovery. Today I have Jeroen, and his story is very inspiring because he's been dealing with this for quite a long time, 20 plus years, symptoms on and off, but in 20 years, just not being able to live the life he wants. And now he's really turned a corner, and it's really exciting to see all the stuff he's doing now. So I just wanted to bring him on here, share some inspiration. Thank you so much, Jeroen, for coming on here and, agreeing to share some of your story. I'm super excited to jump into it. So Jeroen, want to just really quickly introduce yourself, tell everybody where you're from?
Hello, Miguel. First of all, let me say it's a pleasure to be here. My name is Jeroen in Dutch, because I'm from Holland. I'm 39 years old, and like you said, 20 years of madness of CFS.
Yeah, let's go back to the beginning here so people get a full understanding of your story and, what you've been through, and people will probably be able to relate to some points of your journey. But how did this all start, right? So this started in your teens, right?
Yeah, well, my
teens.
onset was on the age of 19. And like I mentioned, I'm now 39, so 20 years. And well, I remember it like it was yesterday, because I was in my first year in the third semester of university, and then I got a flu. Back then, normally a flu will put me down in bed for like 3 days and then start a normal life with some sniffle and some coughs. But this time, it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to feel a little bit recovered from the flu, but definitely not fit. And then at some point, some friends of mine suggested to go to a big festival, like a EDM party. And my thought was, yeah, man, let's do that, because maybe I need to go and let myself go loose and have a very nice party. During this party, I really felt a switch in my brain. Everything was heavy and I felt really, really weird. Here lies the start of the massive brain fog and the dissociation feelings. So I went home, I had rest, but I could rest what I wanted, I didn't recover. So from this moment, welcome to the world of chronic disease. Looking in hindsight, this disease formed gradually upwards to this onset. Let's say 1 year prior to this, I came out of a really toxic relationship. I had a vaccination, so like an immune response. I started a new study, and I really burned the candle on both ends. Busy weeks, I had my study, I had a side job, I had for a few hours in the week, I had a company together with a friend of mine, and every weekend we went to party. Not the best lifestyle. I totally understand now. It was totally unsustainable. But hey, I was young.
And just really quickly, this is in your 20s?
I was 19,
back in your 20s?
So yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, okay. This is the very start, beginning of it all.
That's
burning
correct.
the candle on both ends. Got it.
So to capsulate, so yeah, my body had given me multiple signs before the onset, but I didn't listen to the whispers. I only heard it when it screamed. The illness really progressed after I had a very terrible motorcycle accident at the age of 23. This really is a black page in my life, because they had to take me to the hospital and I had surgery for almost 9 hours. I even had a near-death experience, so totally mess. I was injured very bad. I had a very heavy concussion, 6 broken ribs, a ruptured spleen, a ruptured intestine, and a shredded leg. They put me in a sedation state, like an artificial coma, for almost 5 weeks. And when I've woken up, the worst news was yet to come. My former life partner died in this accident. I've got this news from my parents, and this is still a heavy scar for my soul. So if I could turn back the time, I still would do so. This really was an intense period. So along with the CFS and all the hospital visits and the long time at the ICU, at the medium care, and all the, it took me like 3 years to repair my leg, because it was shredded. It really was. I have pictures of a how do you call this, MRI or echo, how do you call this? X-ray,
like
yes.
X-rays.
If you see that, maybe I can send them to you, one. But it really was,
Sure.
yeah, it was a big puzzle. So this took me like 3 years
Wow.
because at first I had a surgeon who told me, oh, in 1 year you can walk. So I trusted this guy, and I had almost 12 surgeries there. And after a year, this doctor told me, I don't know anymore, man. Maybe I have to amputate. Then you can walk in 3 weeks. But at this moment, I was really, really pissed, and I didn't accept that. So I went for a second opinion, and I went to Germany. And in Germany, there was a doctor, and he assigned me to another, how do you call this, surgeon. And this surgeon, he did one surgery, and my leg was fixed because he used another approach. So this is truly, you don't have to take anything, because I'm so glad I stood up for myself at that moment, because I'm still walking now on my own leg. Sure, it's scarred, and yeah, there is a lot of tissue. I say that's a scar tissue, but it's still my leg, and I can do anything with it. I can drive, I can walk, at least for now, because there were periods I couldn't do nothing. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Got it. Got it. So you know what it's like to be like physically debilitated, especially with the leg and have that limitation. So for people watching this who, have more so CFS symptoms, because you developed CFS on top of a lot of this stuff, right? So what was that like after you recovered? The leg got better. Were you just never the same after, and your energy levels were down, and you were feeling
yeah.
other
Well,
symptoms?
this accident happens when I was 4 years into the illness of ME/CFS. So, but at
Mm,
that point, it was manageable. I still had a study. I still could function a little bit, not at the level I used to do, but it was manageable in some way. But still, I
mm,
really had the feeling this is not how life is supposed to be. So I kept on searching,
mm.
searching, searching, and well, eventually I ended up here, right? But I'm not sorry for that.
Yeah. Yeah. What made you think that at that time when you were younger, that there's a lot more to life than just this? Started feeling all this stuff
Yeah,
before the
like
motorcycle accident.
I can say now, but at that moment I experienced it differently. A little brain fog, some malaise after activities. Yeah, well, brain fog was definitely my primary symptom. That's for real. But I developed so much more symptoms in all those years. I could say I've seen them all the symptoms in the book in the last 20 years. Because if you want to know my lowest point, every time when I thought I can't go lower than this, then something new was introduced. But to paint the picture,
Mhm.
I had periods of total immobility, extremely feelings of overwhelm, brain fog like I was drugged, muscle spasms like vibrations all over my body, overall feeling very nervous on the inside, a buzzing feeling, and no one really noticed this because I still could function at some points. If I stand up, my heart really speeded up the RPM, so you could say pulse. If I
Mm,
walked,
yeah.
I really felt like I was on a ship, like this disturbance feeling while I was standing still. So
A
it
little bit of
really
that.
makes you worry. I totally had no
Yeah.
too little joy, and there were even times that I thought I have to get out and end this madness, if you know what I mean. Um, I had chest pains to the point that I feel difficulty breathing to get air inside. There were times I couldn't eat because it all smelled and it tasted chemically. If I laid down in the room, the
Hmm.
whole room was spinning like a big hangover. I had a total light sensitivity, and every sound I heard would freak me out. If I tried to drive my car, I really felt anxious, so I had to stop driving. I was really worried about this because there was lots of symptoms, but every time it was the same pattern. And now I can say I really ended up in the crash and push cycle, because every time I pushed myself
Mm,
far over my threshold, which I now know how this illness works because of the science you gave me and along other programs and everything I've learned in these 20 years. Because it's not all bad, but there was a very, very bad time, because this is not something that you want, especially when you're in your 20s. You want to live, you want to party, you want to have a good time. You don't want to end up in bed and see everybody around you continue with your life, and yourself have the feeling I'm standing still. I don't get any traction. Every time when I start something, I have to pull back, and this was really annoying, especially with the mindset back then. What I had, yeah, I really beat myself up for this because, yeah, I didn't feel heard nowhere because no one understood, because this really is an illness. Yeah, well, at the time I had this surgery, and I had like this fixature on my leg, with all the pins and plates. Everybody could see it,
Mhm.
and damn, that
Yeah.
got to hurt. Yeah, it did. It really did. But to be honest, this really is dragging, because there were days I really had to drag myself through the day.
So the CFS was actually harder to deal with than like getting your leg shredded and being in that motorcycle
Well,
accident.
let me say that correct, because the loss of my partner really is the hardest thing I had in my life, because this
Yeah.
really at that moment I said, well, why didn't I go, and why didn't she got, yeah, guilt,
The guilt,
shame, all
right?
those emotions, of course. But this operations and stuff you talk about, yeah, this was temporary. And pain, yeah, well, pain is not, for me at least, pain is, I can manage pain, but I can't live. Don't take away my energy. That's really is my yeah, that's what I need, because, and now I know this information. My wife had a parental leave, but at Sunday, and this was something I was anticipating, which also is a really a big thing, because everything you anticipate, yeah, actually is a message to your brain, and this is not a message of safety. But anyways, I realized, yeah, there comes a time when my wife has to go back to work, and I'm alone with the daughter, and I'm responsible for that. This really gave me some stress. When I started the program, very much, and when I was into the program, this was less and less an issue. And when this time arrives, and
Hmm.
my wife started with work, and I get familiar with the fact of being responsible for my at that moment 5 months old daughter. Yeah, I really got trust, and yeah, I'm a house father now, because, and that also was a point for me, because, yeah, then you go back to a belief system. As a man, you have to work, you have to earn the money, yeah, not the wife. This really was a thing for me, and I
Hmm.
don't say I don't do anything, but
What can you physically do now that you couldn't do maybe 6 months ago? Like maybe just a little more energy, less symptoms. What
symptoms
does
are
that look
far
like?
less, far more windows of clarity. The brain fog is less, so this gives me the opportunity to do more cognitive stuff, because I used to work in IT. I loved being surrounding with screens, but when I was really in the spiral down, I couldn't have any screens at all, and all these machines here, they were just standing, because they made me feel very, very anxious. And nowadays, I work with my screens again. I drive my car for every day, because there were times my wife had to drive, and she did this, but she's not a big fan of all those highways. And I always loved to drive up until a point that I couldn't, because as soon as I was in this car, I was so anxious, man. I really saw all crashes, all kinds of things, and yeah, this
Mm.
now it's
But
good.
now it's good. Now you're back to
Now I can
enjoying it
say,
again.
but most of all, I start up, I'm waking up, and I'm feeling refreshed. And this is really new for me. Since I started this program, this is really a big leap for me. And this is really, well, to be honest, this is one of the first goals I talked to with my coach, Adrian. She said, what would you like to achieve at this first 30 days challenge? And this was one of the first things I said. I want to wake up and feeling energized, and looking the day forward, and not dragging myself through the day, and glad that it's time to go to bed, because then everybody is laying, and I can lay as well, because I really drag myself. I
Hmm.
could do things, but I didn't have fun at all with it. In fact, it really, yeah, I really asked myself, why do I do this, man? Why?
It was just kind of
Surviving,
surviving,
yes.
right? You're just surviving through the day versus just thriving, which we're moving closer to now.
It's inevitable, right? If I follow this program, if I do the right things, of course, there are times I slip away, and I don't always make the best choices. But I forgive myself. I am in the progress, and to be honest, I see myself growing, and I also get a lot of good feedback from you, and which helps me because that's what you need when you are in the trenches. You need some people who are talking to you, who are saying, "Hey, man, it's gonna be all right."
But you're saying like you need some kind of, it really helps to have someone there who understands what you've been through, who's been in your shoes, to kind of walk you through it and tell you it's going to be okay, and tell you, hey, like, let's do this a little bit differently. Maybe this week just focus on this stuff. And yeah, you could definitely go out and do that thing, but don't do this just yet. It just really helps to have that guidance, someone that you trust
Yeah,
as well, right?
for real. Because I truly believe you can do this on your own. But if you are as stubborn as me, you really need some repetition and somebody who is not, yeah, man, listen to me. I said you have to do this like that. No. All right, listen, man. This is the situation.
Yeah, exactly. So for people watching this right now, and maybe they were in your shoes where you were 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and they're struggling, they're in the trenches right now, and they're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to get better. You having gone through that and having this for as long as you had, what would you want to say to them to just help inspire them and keep them going?
Never give up hope. Hope is really key in this. Yeah, well, hope is life. That's what it is. There are possibilities. There is evidence, but don't look for a silver bullet cure. You won't gonna find that because it simply isn't there. There won't. I believe they never are able to make a pill or something you take and it's gone because this really lies down in the blueprint of your brain, and this doesn't mean we're crazy, right? Because we're not. That's actually really what I found it offensive when the doctor said go see a psychologist. Like, man, I'm not crazy. I'm really
Hmm.
not crazy, and I still think I'm not crazy.
Hmm. Yeah,
Because,
exactly. And
but
that's what I tell people too. It's like, don't ever give up hope. I mean, there were times when I was close where I had like 0.001% hope, and I was pretty sure I wasn't going to make it. But you just need that little spark inside to keep the flame going. And then when you watch recovery stories and interviews, and you're seeing that people are getting better, and you're seeing maybe different information like what I share on my channel, or things like that, then it will help make that flame inside grow stronger. And once you see it's possible for other people, and people like yourself, you guys watching this right now, Jerome's story, all the stuff he tried, all the symptoms he had, having this for 20 plus years, diagnosed, right? If he can do it, why can't you get better? Why can't I get better? Why can't people get better if there's some severe cases like this? Like, you're a walking example of proof that you can absolutely get better. And if you can get a little bit better with proven methods, then if we just keep repeating that process, of course, you're going to get a lot better. Your brain doesn't have this limiter that it just says, all right, Jerome's only going to get to 70%. It doesn't do that, right? If you just follow the principles, but understanding what's going on, understanding the science behind all this, that's what's really going to help, because that calms the anxiety down, right? As you learned. And it helps you make sense of what's happening, even the thoughts you're thinking at the time, because it can be very confusing, right? So I think it's a great example for everybody to look at your story. And your story isn't even fully written yet. We're still writing it. There's still a lot more exciting stuff to come, right?
more to come, work in progress.
Yeah, because we're going to have another interview down the road, and you're going to be even more active, less symptoms, more energy, like really, really thriving. And that's going to be super exciting.
Indeed, like real energy, not adrenaline, because adrenaline, yeah, it helps for a small period of time. But when you are in this state for a long periods of time, this really backfires, and
Hmm.
this take away your energy. Because at some point, I also thought, yeah, well, maybe I have an energy problem. But on the other hand, no, my body makes energy. I have ATP, but
Exactly.
I burn it like those old telephones, like an old Nokia. You put them on the charger all night. It's
Yeah,
loaded. It says battery full. And you take it and you make one phone call, it dies.
I know
Yeah,
exactly what you're talking
it,
about. They're
that's
just
that.
inefficient, right? Inefficient at creating or like keeping the energy and using the energy properly,
Yeah,
right?
that's
It's
how I see it. Right.
yeah, and it's putting it into all the wrong places. Like all the energy is going to the symptoms or going to adrenaline versus being able to walk around and do things, right? So yeah.
Yeah, well, this illness, the way I see it is, you're getting in a loop. Like your brain is sending signals, like, "Hey, symptoms, man," and then you became aware of this. Hey, man, I have symptoms, so you're gonna worry about it. It gives stress, gives more symptoms. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
the cycle, the downward spiral.
yeah, and this cycle, it's not one thing because it actually turns back to the belief system. This is really key because to see why am I doing, do I have this lifestyle? This is work, and you really, yeah, maybe you have to really be in the trenches to say, darn it, I'm gonna work for it. I want to go out. There must there I can see a light, but I have to climb to it, and this isn't easy.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the tools are easy, but the consistency isn't easy. And
No.
that really isn't.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do, but it's the most worthwhile thing you'll ever do as well. It's worth every ounce of energy because you do get your life back, and you do uh, unlock the ability to go on vacation, to go travel, to raise a family and work and do all these things and thrive again. Really, at the end of the day, that's the whole goal with all of you guys, right? So what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence and they're wanting to, maybe try something like Recovery Jumpstart or any other program, and they're afraid of trying something new, even though it's been proven to work for a lot of people? What would you say to those people?
Give it a try. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I say. And that's why we have the money back guarantee as well. Doesn't work, take your money back. It's fine.
Yeah,
But
well, I'm too late for that, but
exactly. Yeah, you're past the trial
yeah.
period. But I mean, so far it's been doing wonders for you. So far, would you say out of all the things you've tried and all the money you've spent on things, this has been worth the investment? It's been a good investment so far.
Well, let me put it this way. Why didn't you start 20 years ago?
And I was still in elementary school at the time. I didn't. No, no,
So
no.
what?
I should have done it. I should have known. Right? Come on, Miguel.
Well, you had quite a journey as well, right? Because I saw your videos and really rough periods in the hospital bed and
Yeah.
really immobilized. And this really is freaking. You said it's really scary, huh? This
Mhm.
you think you're gonna die, right? That's
Literally,
yeah,
you feel like you're not gonna live in the next hour. You think it's your final moment. You're like, this okay, and it gets to some points where you kind of accept it. You're like, okay, I've lived a good
yeah.
life. I think I should be grateful for the life I've lived so far. I should be happy, and you learn to come to terms with it. And it's a crazy mindset you get in. You know.
This really is, but this also is, yeah, it's chemical. I now know, yeah, it's not your fault when you're down in the triangle. Yeah, all this stress hormones, they pop up those thoughts, and this is also to the fact that we have, yeah, well, like I said, the believing system. We also have a system in the brain. I don't know the English word, or retanglement system, because if you believe something, then this part of the brain is looking, and this makes
Oh,
this
yeah, reticular
filter.
activating system.
That's the word.
Yeah,
Um,
RAS.
yeah, and this really, if you believe something, this it filters out anything else, so it can prove you, yeah, you're right, man. This is how belief works, and belief is very strong. And I don't mean in a religious way or something, which also it could help also, because I believe in this, if you can lay it on the other hand. But
Mhm.
to come back to the question, make it playful. Don't argue with it. Don't fight with it, because when you fight with it, you're lost. You're lost,
It's a battle
because
you can't win. Yeah.
the brain knows you better than you, because it
Hmm.
knows what bothers you. And when you don't listen to it, because, yeah, well, this maybe sounded not right, because it is your friend. But at that moment, I don't see it as a friend because I really saw it as an enemy. Why are you putting me down every time? Why can't I have fun? Now I
Mm.
know it's only telling me, hey man, slow down. If you're gonna proceed with this approach, things really yeah, well, very bad things may occur. This really is a limiter, and every time you go over this threshold, then the threshold, the baseline will go lower and lower and lower, and that is the cycle, I think, of this illness, and the recovery is breaking away all those baselines and beliefs of the past, and everything that doesn't is helpful for you anymore, and really have the knowledge not only here but especially there, because when you are really low in the triangle, you need to have this information in a place, not from your knowledge thinking brain, because that doesn't work at the moment when you are stressed out. You can't think when you are fearful,
Yeah.
because in a way, I think this is like a panic attack, kind of, but even worse. No offense to anybody, but this really is heavy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to think logically, hard to
Yeah.
make or not hard to make rational decisions. So the more you understand the information, the deeper it's rooted into, your brain, your neural pathways, the easier it is to stick to when the waters get rough. When the storm comes and those symptoms do flare up, it's hard to remind yourself of these things. Is there anything else you'd like to share with everybody? Think of someone at home in their bed and they're watching this and they heard your story and they're starting to get some hope. But anything about your story you want to share or anything like that?
Well, that's the whole reason for me to make this recording with you, Miguel, because I know how hard this is, how lonely you feel, how not understood you feel, and the stress for with your spouse, with your parents, with anybody who loves you, but they don't understand this, because this is a thing you only can understand if you've been through it, and that's also why it's, at least for me, very very helpful to enter this community and are surrounded with fellow sufferers, or at least people who have been in my shoes, who know how it works, and who can suit it out for me, who can tell me it's gonna be okay, because sometimes you really need only that. And you can say, yeah, well, your parents can give you a how do you call this, a pat on the shoulder, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the same. You really, in my case, I really needed somebody who's been in my shoes, who tells me, yeah, man, life sucks at this moment. It's true. We're gonna work on it. We're gonna, and don't expect like tomorrow you're finished, you're gonna get back to work and you're gonna be a millionaire. That's not how it works. This really is a gradually process, and the wins even are very very subtle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for me, what really helped is writing down the nice things during the day, the grateful things,
Mm-hmm.
because my brain has this tendency. Normally, I do like 10 things, and one things go wrong. The focus is on the wrong thing. So the 9 things that were good, they don't get attention. I took it for granted because that's how it's supposed to be. So
Yeah.
this actually is why my brain is primed to go on this route. I think
Mm-hmm.
so. This
Yeah.
really is a program.
Yeah, there's like a negative bias to try to keep you in survival mode, right? To
Yeah,
try to protect you. And once you understand that, it's so much easier to catch yourself falling into that pattern. And you don't really take it personally. You don't get mad at your brain for doing that. You're just like, okay, I understand. You're trying to keep me safe, but so it's okay. There's no real danger here, right? So you're able to calm it down a lot faster.
yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing, amazing talking to you, Jerome. And super inspiring. Even today, I'm learning about some stuff about your story that I didn't even know. I didn't know you tried that many things. I knew it was a lot, but and this was just kind of scratching the surface. So I think this is going to be a great video for people to listen back to. Any of you thrivers, if you're watching this right now, definitely watch this one back again, get a pen and a paper, take some notes, because Jerome just dropped a lot of golden nuggets here. And this is a longer interview, but I think it's so packed with value that it definitely would be worth listening to back again and again, right? And use Jerome as an example of of what's possible, just like all the other videos on my YouTube channel, all the other stories. And there's so many people who are overcoming this, right? Who have been told you're just going to have to live with this for the rest of your life. Good luck. There's no cure. But it doesn't have to stop there. That's not where your story ends. There could be a whole nother chapter, right? So if you got some value out of this video, comment down below. What was your biggest takeaway from this chat, right? One thing that you took away from this, comment down below. If you did want some extra help on your journey, if you need some extra assistance and guidance and support, and you could use a personalized plan, then definitely hit the link down below. You can apply to the program, see if we're a good fit. But other than that, Jerome, thank you so much for taking some time to get together and share some of your story. And this is
First of all, I would like to say thanks to some people who really supported me. Of course, I would shout out thanks for the Jumpstart team. When I started this program, I quite soon had some big breakthroughs and made some good leaps towards recovery. And I now know if I keep on coming to the calls and stay proactive, that recovery will be inevitable. So thank you, Miguel. You really built a nice community and a proven concept in a very nice, simplified way. I also would like to say thanks to Dan Neufer from the ANS Rewire program, because this really is my starting point in the online mind-body approach. So thanks, Dan. You really helped me to start this recovery journey. I also would like to thank Raylan Eagle and all associated for putting up such a big YouTube channel, which is very informative and has many, many recovery stories. This gave me hope and motivation to look out for more mind-body approaches. Then I would like to thank all my family members and friends who supported me and helped me where they could. And last but not least, I really would like to thank my wife, who has put up with this madness for more than 9 years now. She kept supporting me and had faith, because this illness really puts a heavy weight on any relationship. So Joyce, if you see this, thank you, babe. I really love you very much. And we're now really on the stage of recovering all the damage and having more fun time. So good times are laying ahead.
I love that. And you guys have
Yeah.
a bright future ahead. All the tough years and the years where you couldn't do much, it's, you're going to make up for all that time,
Yeah, we started with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So amazing, man. Amazing video. And so excited for you guys to be able to experience this. So thanks so much, Jerome. I'll see you on the next call.
Thank you, Miguel. I'll see you soon.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.